Hey, Christy Renea here, formerly called Mind Rewire. I want to talk to you today about the second video in the series, which is going to be on the I Am Presence. If you watched the first video, the first class, so to say, we talked about heart coherence and how to get coherent, and then a 3-minute practice that you can do every hour of every day. So it turns into 36 minutes if you're awake for 12 hours, right? So every waking hour, you're doing this 3-minute practice. And if you have been doing that, even just for a couple of days, you're probably noticing some differences, right? Some of them can be subtle, right? These are very subtle energies that we're dealing with. Some of them, can rock you pretty good if you're not used to feeling that kind of thing. But otherwise, it's relatively subtle. And if you're doing the practice and noticing the difference, this next video is going to clarify some things for you. So what we were aiming at in the heart coherent practice that we did in the first video was to get in touch with your spirit, right? Your internal, eternal self. I talked about that. Another name for this internal spirit is the I Am Presence, right? Of the presence inside of you. Now, if you want more information on the I Am Presence than what I give you, you can look up Neville Goddard. He talks about the I Am Presence, or Saint Germain talks about the I Am Presence a lot, and get all kinds of stuff, right? It's a little bit on the woo-woo-y side. So if you're in that space where you're willing to go there and wanting to know about your true self, the trueness of who and what you are, we're going to call it woo-woo, call it whatever you want. This is the direction you go, right? The physical realm that we've been locked into and told that is reality, that is truth, is anything but, right? So on the lower end of it, this is what we are. If we can meet in the center and find ourselves in our spirit and understand this physical realm, right? That's kind of a mediocre place to be in my head. If you can be your spirit self in this physical realm, it changes everything. Changes everything. You maintain your physical body, but you recognize yourself as spirit, right? The trueness of who you are. Okay. And that's called your I Am self, right? Some people say your higher self. I call it spirit most of the time. I don't know, what are all the other words for it? We used quite a few in the first video. So your I Am self. Now let me give you some background information and the way I understand it. And this was from, I was doing heart coherent practices. I've been doing that for years with people and doing classes. And we did one, and it turned into, in a heart coherent state, and talking about I am that. So the feelings that would come up, and then recognizing you are those feelings. They're not a feeling you produce. You are those feelings, which means your I Am presence is that vibration, right? Peace, joy, love, satisfaction, gratitude. Go through all the, what we call aspects of God. All of those levels of feeling aren't something you do or something you engage in. It's something you are. Yeah? Your I Am presence, you feel those feelings in a higher state through your I Am presence, through your spirit, because your spirit is that. Your spirit is joy. It doesn't produce joy. Your spirit is love. It doesn't produce love, right? In this 3D experience that we're locked into, you have to do something to cause a feeling of love. If you're engaged with your spirit, if you are practicing to become your I Am presence, you are love. You exude that because that's what you are, right? So when you start understanding that, it can get super interesting. And when you start really paying attention to it and focusing on it, it becomes your main focal thoughts. It becomes your main focal point of what you're doing in your life. All of a sudden, things start to change even more rapidly. What you focus on is what you become, yes? What you think about is what you produce in your external life, yes? Even your internal life. All right, so let's go backwards for a second. In ancient texts, and we're talking about what we call the Bible, there is a place in Genesis where Moses meets God. And I'm going to read a book to you later. I'll show it to you now, but I'm going to actually read this book online in pieces and kind of go through it and my understanding of it. This is Mauro Biglino, and he retranscribed the Bible for the Vatican and came up with some wild information that will blow your mind. If you are a diehard Christian, or if you are a diehard Christian trying to shake off the theology and the dogma and the stigma that it left, this will rock your world, because it doesn't say what you were told it says. First of all, it just doesn't. And he says that very plainly when you read it in the original languages. So we'll set that aside for a second, but it helps me help you understand where I'm going with this Moses story. So Moses met an Elohim named Yahweh on the mountain. And if you know your Bible, you know what I'm talking about. He went up the mountain to get the 10 Commandments that he brought back down to the people. But while he was up there, he asked Yahweh, he asked this Elohim, who he had already previously spoken to, by the way, what name he should tell the people to call him. And he said in I think it was ancient Hebrew or Aramaic, I forget which, it may be ancient Hebrew, Eyah Asher Eyah. Tell your people to call me Eyah Asher Eyah. Now it got translated as I am that I am. And you've all heard that statement. I am that I am, right? It's a name of God. That's what they taught us. And so, interesting name if that's the name of God, I am that I am, because it's a concept, not a name, right? Yahweh is a name. And the name Yahweh, we shouldn't even go into this, but we will later, wasn't even the original name, right? It was changed so that the Jews could say the name, right? So that the people could say the name. Anyway, okay. So Eyah Asher Eyah is what he told Moses to tell the people to call him. Translated, it means I am that I am. When you really dive into it, you find out that's not all that it means. It means I am that I am, I will that I will, I can that I can, I was that I was, right? It encompasses this huge picture. And if you take the word apart and not start understanding the letters, it means even more, right? It has vibration, it has color, it has picture history to it. I mean, it's a crazy, crazy combination of 3 words. And the letters mean something inside the words themselves. So I was sitting in my meditation, doing my thing one day and talking to my I am presence, my spirit. And I asked, well, what is Eyah Asher Eyah if it's not a name of God? And I heard what I understood, and I have backtracked and got this through some of Saint Germain's teachings now also, is that perhaps it's a magical phrase. Perhaps it's magical words like abracadabra, which turns out was real words too, right? That wasn't just a play word that we said as a kid. Eyah Asher Eyah, in its true form, is an incantation to elicit the power of the universe. Did you hear what I said? It's like it's magical words, right? It's magic words, and it's an incantation of sorts to elicit the power of the universe. So when Yahweh told Moses to have them call me, I am that I am, which totally takes the power out of the words. It's Eyah Asher Eyah, and I'm not even pronouncing it right. So you can Google that one too and get a few different translations in pronunciation. Ahaya, Ashura, Ahaya. I've heard it many different ways. And what I do is I feel it inside my body. I'll say it, I'll say the phrase, and then I feel it inside my body and feel what it does. If I say I am that I am, do this with me. If I say I am that I am, and I put my hands over my heart, I am that I am, feel that inside your heart. And it might ping back and forth between your brain and I'm getting it right here in my right lobe, frontal lobe, and my heart, which means my brain's trying to look it up. My brain's trying to figure it out. If I say, Eyah Asher Eyah, feel that inside your heart. It doesn't feel the same. If I say it this way, and this is another translation of it, and I have a harder time saying this one, which is why I always say the other one. It's how I learned it. Ahea, Esher, Ahea. And feel that inside your heart. Aya, Esher, Aya gives me a sense of feeling. It elicits some kind of expression of neuropeptides. It gives me some kind of feeling in my body. Ahea, Esher, Ahea gets totally silent. It quiets my whole system down. And I'm just noticing differences, right? I do not know ancient Hebrew necessarily. I do not know Aramaic necessarily, or Syrian, or any of these ancient languages. But I know what it feels like when I say it inside my body. And that's what first caught my attention, was that doesn't feel the same. And I showed it to some of the clients I was working at the time. I was like, just say this and feel it. And everybody did the same thing. They were just like, whoa, what is that? It's a name of God. And then I find out it's not a name of God. It's an incantation. And incantation is the only word I'm if you have a better word than incantation, I don't want you to go into the, like, that's a dark magic thing. It's not. It's a way of invoking the energies of the universe and directing them through your heart and into your body, and then back through you to touch other people around you. Does that make sense? So I am, right? And we say it, I am. You could say it, Aya Esher, Ahea Esher. It's spelled E-H-Y-E-H, Asher, A-S-H-E-R, and then Ahea again, E-H-Y-E-H. And I said, look it up, and I mean it. Do some work on this. Take your time and look it up. And then play with it. Get coherent. Do what we did yesterday. Get coherent and get into your heart space and start whispering that to your heart. And basically what you're doing is you're talking to your I am presence. You're talking to your spirit. You might be reminding your spirit who you are. What does it feel like? What do you notice? What are you sensing? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Right? Get super quiet inside yourself and just place these words. Place them and see what happens. When you're working within the realm of I am, there's many statements that you can say. I wanted to show you a book that you can find online. Hopefully it's not too super expensive. I know the prices were changing when I found this one. I got this on Thrift Books. This is, I don't know if you can see that, the I Am Discourses by Saint Germain, Ascended Master, it says on here, Saint Germain. And for those of you who are still very stuck in the biblical Christian idiom, you have to be very open-minded to open this book. But it gives you I am statements that when you say them, you're empowering your I am self to take control, right? So one of the things, I just opened the book, the first sentence I see says, I am the perfectly controlled breath of my body. Say that statement with your awareness inside your heart and see what you feel. I am the perfectly controlled breath of my body. It's amazing, right? Some of this stuff is just crazy. I am this and I am that. And in here, this actual paragraph, let me read this one to you. The need of everyone is to keep reminding the outer consciousness, that's the human self, right? The 3D self, that when one says, I am this or I am that, he is setting God in action, which is his life individualized, the life of the universe, the energy of life, the intelligence at the heart of the universe governing all. I am this, right? You are what? So you tell yourself, I am fat, I am ugly, I am not good enough, I am hopeless, I am ridiculous, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. And it's all the stuff you feel inside your human body, but go into your heart and ask those questions. Am I anxious? Give me a way to conquer this anxiousness. I am presence, spirit. Give me a way to conquer my anxiousness. Give me a way to conquer my depression. Right? If you can get hold of a copy of this book, I highly recommend it. There is a link you can find online where somebody is reading all of these discourses. There's 33 of them. And everyone that precedes the previous just expands on the knowledge and makes it even more real in your own heart, in your own life. So I highly recommend you read that. As you're practicing heart coherence, now you're going to add I am statements, whatever comes to you, right? If I go into my heart and I feel peace, I am peace. I am peace. I am peace. And I sit there saying it and talking to my spirit self about it. I am worthy. That one took a lot for me. I am worthy. We're always told to not use negative statements in regards to affirmations, or in this case, I am statements. But one day I got a little ballsy and I was tired of having whatever happened was happening. And so I used the negative. I am not sick. And this was literal. This is very literal. So we always say, I am healthy, I am healing, which kind of puts you into a perpetual action of sustaining a healing or a health process, unless you understand that healing is not a verb and it's a noun. It's what you are, not who you are. Chew on that one. It's what you are, not who you are. But everybody in my workplace was getting sick. Everybody, and it was horrible. Like we were passing around the next generation of COVID or whatever the heck it was, whatever we've been poisoned by. And as I'm watching this, everybody's like going, oh, I feel sick. I am sick. Like they're using all the words, right? And I'm sitting there going, no, I am healthy. I am healing. And I was feeling it. I was like, oh man, I'm doomed. I got it. And then I sat myself down and I was like, what should I say? And I heard my spirit say, I am not sick. I am not sick. And I sat there and I actually, because it was starting to cause a panic inside of me, I put myself into a whole brain state. I got whole brain first, crossing my arms and my legs to the statement, I am not sick. I sat there crossing different patterns over and over until I felt it click. And then I got into my heart space and I said, I am not sick. I am not sick. And then I heard spirit go, I am healing. The noun form, not the verb form. I am healing. I am what causes the healing. Do you understand? I am not sick. And it all of a sudden, I know it changed everything. And I didn't get sick for the longest time until I let my guard down. And it all kind of collapsed on me. But I'm also doing a lot of detoxing. So it could have been the detoxing that got me, that everything just started coming out at the same time. And this is within like a week ago. All of this has been the last month. And I'm coming out on a higher end of it right now, which is why all of a sudden it was like very, I don't know, it's like I got shook and I was told, start putting this out, spread this bigger, like everything, just put it out there. People need this right now. They need to know who they truly are and how to get in touch with their spirit self. No more game playing, no more, all the courses and all the, I don't know, tit for tat stuff that healers tend to do. And I'm not bad mouthing healers by any means. There's some great people out there that do amazing stuff. And we do need paid for it, but this whole thing has been this confusing conglomerate trying to separate the corporate entity of the healing world, and then how to actually do this in such a way that it's a spirit-led, spirit-activated, divine nature of creation that we can just give to each other freely, right? Which is what started me down this road of making these videos. If you know that you can spread your knowledge. Yes? Yes, right? So I know that I know, and I'm spreading this knowledge. I do have people that donate. So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to. You can find me on Venmo. I'm trying to get off of PayPal. I'm still on there, but I'm trying to get off. So right now you can still find me on PayPal also. Or whatever the direct deposit thing is called in the banks. Okay, never mind that one because I can't even remember it. Anyway, so you're more than welcome to do that. But what I'm asking you to do is share these videos, subscribe to my channel so that it gets moved more, right? The more subscriptions you have, apparently, the more the videos get moved. But more than that, share the videos. Share them with people that you know will listen to it and then take it and go, okay, let me try that. Share it to people that are at the end of their rope, right? It's always those kind of people that seem to end up in my lap. Nothing else is working. How do I do this? And I walk them through a few simple steps and they're just like, but it's the practice of sustaining it, right? So the ones that say, oh, it worked for a while, it's because you didn't sustain it. And I believe that with any practice. If you don't sustain it, eventually you're going to backpedal. And it's turning yourself into the understanding of your spirit, your I am self, and you walk in that nature instead of the junk that we've been programmed with. Yeah? There is a lot more to this. That's the next step, is engage as your I am self. Use I am statements. I highly recommend you find this book, find it online. I know there's free PDFs of it. Some people would say it's not right, but I would find a free PDF and I would put it on one of these little jobbies and I would take it over to Staples and I would print that out so you have a hard copy. You can tell that mine it's written in, it's tagged up. I've gone through this book so many times since I've gotten it, it's not even funny. And so that's the next step. You're practicing 1 hour heart coherence, 3 minutes every hour. You're practicing heart coherence, 3 minutes every hour that you're awake. And now in that 3-minute practice, you're going to start saying, I am that. If you say nothing else, say, I am that, meaning you are that presence inside of you, right? Remember, it's not a space, it is your spirit. The space is your spirit. It's not that you're going into a space to find your spirit, which is how I used to look at it. The space itself is your higher self. It is your spirit self. It is your I am presence, which is why heaven's inside of you. All right? Do you understand your homework? Do you understand this assignment? I am love. I am love. I am love. In your heart space, not in here. If you're saying it in here, you're going to go sideways. Say it in your heart space. Say it in your heart space. I'm talking directly to you. Yes, you know who you are. Say it in your heart space. If you're speaking in here, you will go sideways. I promise you. You'll find every reason not to say I am love. If you say it in here, it's a whole different game. All right, I bless you. Thank you for being here. I'm not sure quite yet what the next video is going to be on, but I'm just going to keep rolling with these as Spirit leads me. And I'll talk to you soon.